My girlfriend doesn't know how much debt she's in, and I feel like she's hiding things. Me and my GF have been together for 2 years. We live in my house, 70K debt left, 15-year mortgage, I'm the sole owner. And she only pays $150 to help towards utilities as my request. A few days ago, I was talking to my 30 female girlfriend, 32 female, and jokingly said, "Do you have any secret debt that I'll find out about when we get married?" She said she doesn't have any debt, and that she always makes sure she repays the minimum credit card amount. I laughed and said that credit card repayments are debt, and she says no, because she is paying towards it. I was shocked at how she could be so wrong, and how financially ignorant she is. We're in the process of starting our NHS fertility journey, and we have an appointment soon, and I have been saving for a while because I'm pretty sure we'll have to go private as a same-sex couple. I asked her to save money for a baby fund too, and she started saving £20 a week, which I know she's spent part of already. She doesn't have any savings. Today I asked her if she knows how much debt she's in. I don't know. Do you know an estimate? Is it 500? 1,000? 5,000? Yeah, something like that. Something like what? Like one of those numbers. I don't think she's hiding anything from me. I think she doesn't realize what debt really means. She thought I only meant money she stopped paying, which is insane. She was supposed to, according to her, move her 3 credit card debts to a 0% one, but the PIN to register didn't work or something like that. She's waiting for a new one. When did you register? I don't know, when I went away to see my family. That was last November. I know, I've been busy. Okay, you don't have to tell me, but for your own good, can you please check how much do you owe for each card and the interest rate of each? I don't have access to my XXX account because blah blah blah. Okay, what about the other 2 credit cards? Well, I don't use the app. But you do have an app you can log into and check? Yeah, but I don't use it. Why don't you check it then? I don't know. At that point, I had to leave the room because I didn't want to be mean. She says that she's sure her debt is less than 2K, but honestly, I don't believe her anymore unless I see it with my eyes. But also, she has her own right to not discuss it with me. I just mentioned that once we get married, her debt is my debt too. So I really need to know she's financially stable, educated. She has ADHD and is bad at timekeeping and money spending, but I didn't know it was that bad. And now I worry if this is something that can break the relationship. She started crying, saying, "Is this why you don't want to marry me?" I just don't like to be the center of attention. And now I've left the house to get some air, and I know she's crying in the living room. Am I being irrational? Have I pushed her too much? How should I approach things next time we talk, and how can I help her with debt? Too long didn't read. My girlfriend doesn't know how much she owes, as she thought credit card debt is not debt if you're repaying every month. Edit. Thank you all so much for your advice. I sat down with her again and talked for a long time about why this is important and why she needs to tackle the issue ASAP. She told me she wants to be better with money and not have that weight in her shoulders anymore, and asked if I can help her. I explained to her that we could check her debt on ClearScore. Thanks for the recommendation. And she agreed. She registered, and turns out she has 5 credit cards and 8K in debt. It gave Maya a mini heart attack, but I didn't show it as I didn't want her to feel ashamed. She asked me, "Is this something doable then?" I said, "Yeah, but it'll take you a bit longer than you said. 2-3 years might be more realistic than end of the year as you said." She told me she's going to give me her credit cards and give me access to all her accounts so I can track where the money is going. I'm a budgeting freak. And we'll have a financial meeting every fortnight. She also will transfer 5K of the debt, the one with the highest interest, to the 0% interest card she opened and then ignored, and tackle the rest for now. Baby fund is obviously dead now, but I think this has been a big wake-up call for her, as her dream has always been to be a mum, and she realized it won't happen if this doesn't get sorted. The good thing, if I can call it that, is that she wasn't lying to me. She honestly didn't know she was in so much debt, as after a certain amount she got anxious and didn't check, but she has never missed a payment at least. Relevant comments commenter. 1. This is a relationship problem and not a personal finance one. OP. Fair. I wanted to ask more about how she can start tackling that as someone who is completely ignoring her debts, but it could be seen as relationship. Advice more than financial OP on the goals for her GF's finances OP. Thank you very much for your comment. I'm hyper-focused on financial stuff like you, with a crazy spreadsheet, etc. like you said, and I actually enjoy doing that, so I know I can help her. However, I made her aware that I'm going to be doing this with her, not for her. She needs to learn financial responsibility by herself, as I can't be checking what she does constantly. The goal is to do a financial meeting with her twice a week now to check where her spending is going, check which credit card she needs to pay off first depending on interest rates, etc. Then, just weekly, fortnightly, monthly, until I trust that she knows how to manage her money so she doesn't need me. I've also told her I'm not forcing her to do any of this. It has to come from her to ask me and be willing to keep learning about finances. Apart from ADHD, which I told her it's not an excuse, but it's an explanation to why she got there, both her parents have been a very bad example and influence in financial stuff. She's also the eldest in a big family, and from when she was 10, she had to be a second mother to her brothers and sisters. This, plus other things I don't think she'll be happy for me to discuss here, all explains why she is so useless with money, but, as I say, it's not an excuse. As I had a bad situation at home too, and instead I decided I needed to learn to be financially responsible, because I only have myself, and I don't want to be like my parents. She's very scared right now that she's realized of the mess she's in, like waking up from an avoidance dream. One thing that saves her, I guess in my eyes, is that she wasn't lying to me. She is that ignorant about money. From the beginning, I've had access to her laptop that I use for work when I WFH once a month, and I could easily access her email if I wanted. I've also told her about bank switches a while ago, and she said she trusted me to do it as she didn't know how to start, and I've been doing them for her. So if she was hiding things, it would have been so easy for me to find out. The other positive thing, I need the tiny wins right now, is that she's never missed a payment. And this morning she was registering to Step Change and will contact them soon too, all coming from her. So she's willing to change that. For people who have been telling me not to get married or have a baby, don't worry, I wasn't planning on getting married anytime soon anyway. And the baby thing is obviously postponed indefinitely unless she proves me she's someone I can trust financially to attach myself to forever because of having a baby together. It's a big shame, because apart from that, because she's had to raise her siblings and has such a big mom instinct, she's amazing with kids and I know she'll be the best mom. But I had a very rough childhood, and I can't have a kid unless I know they won't have to suffer from the same mistakes my parents made. Here's an update that was made on July 23, 2025, nearly 3 months later. 3 months ago, I posted here asking for some advice about my girlfriend's debt. To summarize, 3 months ago, I realized my girlfriend not only was completely financially illiterate, e.g., she had no idea that paying a credit card was being in debt. She thought that was more like a big mortgage. I know. But also she was in credit card debt, and she didn't even know how much she owed as she was very ashamed and in denial. She had 5 credit cards. I was only aware of 2, not because she was hiding them, but because they never came up in conversation, and was making minimum payments on all of them. Thanks to advice here, I signed her to ClearScore to check how much debt she was on, $82.50, all in plus 30% interest cards. My disappointment in her was her wake-up call. I am extremely money savvy, and I have the savings to cover her debt if needed. But I've worked hard for it, and I have made sacrifices so it would have seemed undare. She never asked me to, for the record. She would also never learn that way, so I told her I'd help her by teaching her about finances, looking for better options to transfer the debt, etc., but the money sacrifice would have to be hers. We started by creating a version of the budgeting spreadsheet I use for my finances because she didn't know how much she spent on different things. At first, I'd go through her bank account with her and tell her where to write every transaction twice a week. After a while, she was doing it weekly by herself, while I updated my own spreadsheet. We call them financial meetings, and we have a nice tea while doing it. After 2 months, we could see a pattern and tackle where the money goes. For example, she was subscribed to Prime, Netflix, Apple TV, Disney+, Now TV, and we basically only watch Disney, which I get free thanks to a Lloyd's perk, and Netflix, so she canceled everything else. She's also transferred most of the debt to a 0% interest card, the debt with the highest interest, and stopped spending money on unnecessary things. Also, I know that you're supposed to tackle the debt first before saving, but I wanted her to have a little satisfaction of watching her savings grow, which previously were 0, and getting her into the habit of saving money for her future. So every month on payday, I recommended her to send money to her savings account and leaving it there, and pay for credit card debt so she knows how much she has for the rest of the month. There's also little tricks for unnecessary spending, like she gave me all her credit cards so she can't use them. She deactivated Google Pay and contactless payment, so she has to physically introduce the card and type the PIN to buy. This slight inconvenience makes her more conscious of the money she's spending. etc. The result? In 3 months, not only her debt hasn't increased like it was the trend before, but it's gone down to $7,000. And considering she's low income right now, I'm extremely proud. She's put around $1,700 into tackling her debt. Although because only now we've managed to transfer her debt to a 0% interest card, the high interests ate a lot of that, and her savings are $400. Seeing that if she wasn't in debt, she would have $2,100 right now makes her even more willing to clear this debt. I just wanted to let people know, especially people with partners that seem a bit irresponsible with money, that change is possible. But they also need support and trust and patience. I'm extremely proud of her, and she's in the path of clearing everything way before Christmas 2026, which is the goal I set for her. Edit. Thank you for the good vibes after something we felt very vulnerable in sharing. And thank you for the encouragement and for sharing your own experiences. Knowing that other couples have been in our shoes and came out stronger is so reassuring. My girlfriend is over the moon with the support and nice words. Relevant comments OP on her GF's skills on finances. OP. Her family hasn't been the best with finances, and she learnt bad habits and wrong information, and she had no idea how any of that worked. Commenter 1. Well done to both of you. Your patience and support will have made all the difference. OP. I really hope so. Not gonna lie, the first couple of weeks I was a mess and I wanted to trust her to really get her shit together, but I was having nightmares about it. OP explains the spreadsheet budget to provide an idea. OP, sure. I have a spreadsheet with all my incomings, salary, interest, selling something online, and outgoings, and it's very detailed. That way I can see how much I spend a month, a year, and the average. I have added some screenshots from the beginning of this year in case this helps. I feel very vulnerable sharing this because I don't want to be scrutinized or judged. I know some people might find it over the top. Other might spot mistakes or judge my expenses or income. Edit to update the image. As I was slightly doxing myself with some of the info commenter 1. What a great update. I remember your original post, and when I saw the new post, I feared the worst. Well done to you both. OP. Thank you. She's not on Reddit, but I showed her the original post comments, even the mean ones she cried about one, and found the comments that wanted to give real advice very useful. I'll show her these ones too tonight for a bit of validation, because she deserves a bit of recognition. She's changed her habits, which are really hard to change, overnight. It also took some patience from me, because sometimes at the beginning I just wanted to shout, "How do you know this?" Or, "Why would you do this?" Patience and understanding is key, but also not letting them play you. I told her a few times, ADHD and your family background is an explanation of why it happened, but not an excuse to let it happen again. OP on finances when she was growing up, and her GF's family's spending OP. I agree. I grew up very poor, but my parents were extremely frugal and would never spend money they didn't have. They, and I, never had a credit card, spent money on flashy things, etc. They always made a big effort, so save money just in case. They've managed to pay the mortgage a long time ago and have a nice pension pot. Even now that my parents have a good salary, my dad still drives the car that he bought 20 years ago, for example. Growing up like this, I learned that I needed to be careful with money, and I saved from my teenage years for a deposit to buy a house, which happened a couple of years ago, and for an emergency fund. My girlfriend's family was completely the opposite. Also poor, but spending money, getting into debt, not being able to save for a deposit, so she didn't learn the real value of money. By the time she was living by herself, she didn't know how to save, or the importance, having savings. If she saved money, she'd use it to buy something expensive instead of having an emergency fund. This silly spending habits and being ignorant about credit cards and debt led her where she is now. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I recommend you to have a chat with him about home finances, and maybe ask him if he would be willing to fill a budgeting spreadsheet. I'm pretty sure there are apps too, for a couple of months, so he can learn where his money goes. It's kind of wild how some folks just never get that one, "Oh, credit cards are debt" memo. But hey, at least she's facing it now. Big props to OP for balancing tough love with actual support. That is not easy. And honestly, seeing almost $2,000 shaved off plus real savings in just 3 months is some solid momentum. Fingers crossed they keep grinding, crush that 7K, and maybe circle back to that baby fund when the timing feels right. Anyway, drop your thoughts below. Let me know where you stand on sharing finances with a partner and all that jazz. All right, here's the next post. Hi Reddit, throwaway because I don't want this linked to my main. I, 18 female, have been dating my boyfriend, let's call him Jake, 24 male, for a little under a year. At first, things were really good. He seemed emotionally stable, mature, grounded. All the things I thought I wanted after dealing with a lot of chaotic guys my own age. We met through mutual friends and clicked pretty quickly. He said he liked how mature I was and how together I seemed for my age, which felt nice to hear, especially since I came out of a very abusive household. I won't lie. I felt flattered at first. I thought we had an understanding that yes, I'm younger, but I'm still an equal in this relationship. But over the months, that dynamic has really started to shift. And now I'm not sure I'm being treated like a partner at all. For some background, I've been diagnosed with endometriosis and POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Both conditions affect my daily life in big ways. I deal with chronic fatigue, dizziness, and a lot of pain. There are days when I physically can't get out of bed without struggling, and managing my symptoms takes a lot of mental energy, on top of everything else. Jake knows this. I was upfront about it from the beginning. And at first, he was really kind and supportive. But over time, he started acting like he knows better than me how I should be living my life. It started with small comments about how much I sleep or how I manage my symptoms, but now it's like I can't do anything without some kind of lecture or judgment. Some examples. If I sleep in to manage a flare-up, that's not healthy. You need structure or you'll never be independent. If I get food delivered on a day I'm too fatigued to cook, you're wasting money and being lazy. If I cancel plans because of pain, you'll never build resilience if you give in every time. Even if I lie down after standing too long and feel dizzy, a POTS symptom, he tells me I should push through because resting too much makes it worse. He also makes comments about my outfits being too revealing or not appropriate. And when I tell him I don't want unsolicited advice, he says he's just trying to help me grow or teach me how to be an adult. But I am an adult, just one managing 2 chronic illnesses on top of everything else. Things came to a head last week. I was having a rough few days, a bad endo flare, 0 energy, and could barely sit upright for long. He came over and saw that I'd been resting most of the day and immediately launched into another long-winded talk about discipline and life habits and how I need to stop relying on rest as a crutch. I'd had enough. So I said, not even shouting, just tired, I didn't agree to date a discount dad. If I wanted someone to supervise my life and tell me how I'm failing, I'd move back in with my parents. He went completely silent, left my apartment, and didn't talk to me for 2 days. When he finally did, he said I crossed a line, that he was just trying to help, and that I had no idea how hard it is to support someone who won't even try. I was honestly stunned. Now his friends are messaging me saying I'm selfish and too immature to handle a relationship with a real adult. His mom, yes, his actual mother, messaged me saying she's disappointed, and that Jake has always been the kind of guy who lifts women up. I just want to be clear. I do try. Every day is hard with these conditions. I work, I cook when I can, I handle my appointments, I advocate for myself in medical systems that constantly brush me off. I don't think I need to be raised by a man who thinks being 6 years older makes him my life coach. I care about him, but I also feel like I've been slowly shoved into the role of student or child in this relationship, and I'm starting to wonder if that was his intention from the beginning. So, great people of Reddit. Am I the asshole for calling my boyfriend a discount dad after months of being treated like a project instead of a person? Edit. Hey guys. Just waving to say I am from Australia, where the legal age to do almost anything is 18. Am I the asshole? Here has no consensus bot. OP was not the asshole. Here are some of OP's relevant comments. OP responds to a downvoted comment regarding communication keys, trying new things, and managing health issues. OP. My main issue with the clothing comments is that what I wear isn't actually revealing at all. Most of the time, I wear really baggy wax jeans with a fitted shirt, but even then, it usually doesn't show any skin. I tend to wear a lot of long-sleeved sports-style tops. The only time I'm in anything more relaxed is when I'm at home, just wearing a t-shirt and underwear, and that's only ever around him, no one else. As for my health, my flare-ups really aren't frequent. In the last 6 months, there have only been 2 times where things were bad enough that I couldn't properly move for a day or so. On a day-to-day basis, you wouldn't even know anything's wrong. I have full days of work and study, and then I come home and rest. That's usually when he calls me lazy. We've communicated about all of this more than enough. We've been together for almost a year now. In fact, tomorrow would mark a full year. And I've spent that time trying to explain how I feel and why the way he treats me isn't okay. But most of those conversations have ended in huge arguments, with him screaming at me and accusing me of making up my illnesses. He's told me more than once that if he had what I have, he'd be completely fine, and that I'm exaggerating everything. He's even said that there's nothing wrong with me, that I just think the world revolves around me, and that I need to stop pretending to be in pain. If those comments had never been made, I might have been able to understand his frustration, or at least see it from his side. But after hearing things like that repeatedly, it just feels like he's being controlling. Across this entire year of us being together, there's probably only been about 1 full week total where I've completely stayed in bed. I know my limits. I've had POTS since I was 10 and was diagnosed with endometriosis at 11, 2 years after my first period. I've lived with these conditions for most of my life, and I know how to manage them. What I don't need is someone telling me they don't exist or that I'm using them as excuses to avoid being productive, when I on a daily basis work 10-hour shifts and then also study a diploma. How old was OP when she met her partner, as there is an age gap? OP. I was freshly 18 when we met, and he didn't know how old I was till about 3 weeks into speaking. To be completely honest, I thought he was closer to my age, as he very much looked like it and acted like it. I am 19 in about a month. I'm not trying to stand up for him with the comment I'm about to make, but I can definitely say I do look and act a lot older than what I am. I get it quite a lot from a load of different people in a lot of different professions. I can honestly see how you made the mistake of thinking I could be older than what I was, especially because my friend group is also between 20 and 23. Commenter 1. Not the asshole. Dude's 24 dating an 18-year-old with chronic illness and thinks he's your life coach? The age gap plus his behavior screams control issues. You managing 2 serious conditions while working isn't lazy. It's impressive as F. Also, his mom messaging you is weird and crossing boundaries. Run. OP. I definitely do think his mom messaging me was weird, and I do fully believe that he completely twisted the situation to her because his mother and I have had a really good bond up until then. OP clarifies why she was having this relationship with a 24-year-old guy. OP. I get the point you're trying to make, and trust me, I'm not here to defend someone who's made me feel this shitty. But I want to clear some things up. This relationship was not illegal. When we met, I was 18 and he was 23. He's 24 now, and I'm turning 19 very soon. I'm legally an adult and have been living as one for a long time. I finished school at 15, moved out at 14, and have worked full-time since I was 16. I've been independent for years and had to grow up a lot faster than most people my age. I know some people take issue with age gaps, and that's fair. But where I live, and for the life I've lived, our age difference wasn't seen as strange. It's actually one of the more normal ones I've come across. I personally stayed with him because everyone my age felt immature, directionless, or just flat out not on my level. At the time, being with someone older seemed like the smarter, more stable choice. And honestly, the age gap still isn't a red flag to me. He is, the way he acted, the way he treated me. That's the actual issue. When I mentioned him not knowing my age straight away or me usually being around older people, it wasn't to defend him. It was to explain how I saw things at the time. When he did find out my age, he chose to stay. That part, 100% on him. And now, after seeing the way he's treated me, how he's spoken to me, how he's lashed out, how he tried to hit me while I was crying, I've broken up with him. I know now that this wasn't okay. I've read every single DM and comment. I'm starting to reply to them now, and honestly, a lot of what people have said gave me clarity I didn't expect. It helped me understand what I was rationalizing or minimizing. You're right that he had choices. And so did I. I chose to stay longer than I should have. But I've chosen to leave now, and that's what matters most to me. Editor's note: Centrelink is a Services Australia master program from the Australian government, delivering ranges of government payments and services for retirees, unemployed, families, carers, parents, people with disabilities, Indigenous Australians, students, apprentices, and people from diverse cultural and linguistic backgrounds, and provides services at times of major changes. Here's an update that was made the same day. Update. Am I the asshole for calling my partner a discount dad because he kept treating me like a child? Hey, I didn't expect the post to get the kind of attention it did. I watched it go from about 200 upvotes down to 1, and honestly, I'm still not sure why, but I really want to thank everyone who commented or messaged me privately. I've read everything. I'm slowly replying when I have the energy. You've all given me so much insight. Some of it really hit, stuff I hadn't even thought about until now. Just thank you. It means a lot. I wasn't planning to update this soon, but things have gotten way worse within the last 3 hours, and I feel like I need to talk about it, especially after what just happened. So I've been really sick the last few days, like properly sick. I was diagnosed with a bone sinus infection, and it's knocked me flat. I've had constant fevers, stabbing pain in my face and head, nausea, dizziness. I can't keep much food down, and on top of that, my POTS symptoms have been way worse than usual. I've mostly just been in bed, barely functioning, just trying to rest and not pass out. Because of all that, I had to call in sick to work these last 2 days. I work with food, and there was just no way I could safely be around customers or food prep like this. I can barely even stand upright. It didn't feel like I had a choice. This afternoon, I got a call from work telling me I was fired. No warnings or anything, just said they needed someone more reliable, and they can't keep me on if I can't show up. I get it, I guess, but it still crushed me. I've always tried to show up. I've never taken advantage of sick days or anything. It felt like everything hit at once. I've only taken about 4 sick days in the entire 2 years I've worked for this company. Jake came over not long after. I told him what happened. Told him I lost my job, that I'm sick, that I might need to go to the hospital because I'm starting to feel seriously not okay. And his response was basically, well, maybe if you took better care of yourself, this wouldn't happen. Then he said something like, you still could have gone in? People push through being sick all the time? I tried to explain that it's not like a cold. This is a bone infection. I literally couldn't walk from the bed to the kitchen earlier without fainting, and I work with food. He just kept brushing it off like I was being dramatic. He told me I'm always sick, and I never fight through it. That turned into a full-blown fight. He started yelling, full volume screaming, pacing the room while I was just sitting there crying and asking him to stop. I was already feeling like absolute shit, and I couldn't even get a word in without him talking over me. At one point I tried to speak and he got up close, and he raised his hand like he was about to hit me. He didn't, but he looked like he wanted to, and that scared me more than anything he's ever said. That was it for me. I ended it. We're done. I broke up with him then and there. Told him to get out, that I'm not doing this anymore. I don't care how sick I am or how hard things get from here. I'd rather be completely alone than sit there, sobbing while the person who's supposed to care about me screams at me for being unwell. Right now I'm still in bed, fever's high, heart rate's not great, and honestly, I think I'm going to the hospital soon. Something feels off in my body, and I don't want to wait until it's too late. With POTS, and now this infection, it feels like everything is just piling on top of me. I'm genuinely scared, not just emotionally, but physically. My body feels like it's breaking down. Though I wanted to take the time to write this update, I am using text-to-speech, so I am so sorry if it's a bit jumbled. I'm tired of begging someone to believe me when I say I'm in pain. I'm tired of being talked down to, managed, lectured, and guilt-tripped when I literally need help. I didn't ask to be sick. I didn't ask for endo or POTS or a sinus infection that knocked me flat. I've done everything I can to keep pushing through, but it was never enough for him. But it's over. I'm scared and sick and jobless, but I'm also finally out. And that has to mean something. If you've made it this far, thank you again. Your comments gave me the courage to stop waiting for someone else to change and finally start choosing myself. Here are some of OP's comments on the update. Commenter 1. Thank God you broke up with him. He was grooming you and definitely emotionally abusive through manipulation tactics and attempting to control you. OP. I hope you get better soon. Removing an abusive partner from your life will help remove a lot of the stress you're feeling and accelerate your healing. You may be able to report your workplace for wrongful termination as long as you properly called in sick and provided medical records, doctor's note. Of course, depending on which country you're located in. OP, I definitely am going to be reporting my old workplace. My manager wasn't the best person in general, and there's a lot that she did that wasn't okay. Where I'm from, if you get wrongly terminated from a job, if you go through Fair Work, there's about a 70% chance you can get a 10K payout. Commenter 2, call your trusted friends and tell them what's happened, and if one of them can take you to hospital. Make sure when you come back home you are not alone. Change the locks to your door. Block his number and any of his friends, mom, etc. Focus on your health. You can always get another job. With your health issues, can't you get some type of help from the government? OP. I did end up calling a friend to take me to the hospital, and I told them everything that happened. I also have another close friend staying at mine until I'm back just to make sure he doesn't try to go there or anything. And for my health issues, I can go on to a disability payment. I'm eligible for that, but taking that payment means I'll no longer be able to work unless I do cash-in-hand work that I don't tell the government, practically. And I would definitely say that working is one of my favorite things. I am studying to be a mortician, so it would absolutely break my heart if I could no longer do that. OP explains her family health history. OP, bone sinus. Infections in my family are very common things. They are never really bad, and they only just take some antibiotics to clear up. I got scans done and stuff, and it was only a very slight infection, hence why I was just given antibiotics and told to rest. Considering you're a nurse and you haven't heard of bone sinus infections really concerns me. OP on getting unemployment. OP. We have something called Centerlink. I'm really not sure if that's in Soba, America. I don't pay much attention to what's over there, but applying for an unemployment and job seeker payment is incredibly easy. You also keep that payment whilst you're working until you're receiving a certain amount of money for your job. Commenter. I'm proud of you and I'm praying for you. I hope you feel better quickly. You're right to listen to your body. Go to the hospital first. Next, focus on unemployment benefits. You should be able to Google it for your state and apply online to get the ball rolling. I'm so happy you lost your abusive a-hole boyfriend. You need to take care of yourself mentally so you can take care of yourself physically, so you can take care of yourself financially. You're doing everything right and Reddit is rooting for you. Just a dude note. Something tells me your loser ex lives with his mom. Am I right? OP. Thank you so much for your comment. I did go to the hospital and I have applied for unemployment and job seeker. And surprisingly, he doesn't live with his mom. He lives by himself. He works in the mines. Honestly, I'm just sitting here shaking my head. Like, the sheer nerve of some people, right? You can practically feel the relief in OP's words the moment she showed that guy the door, and I'm low-key cheering. It's wild how quickly helpful advice morphs into straight-up control when someone thinks they know better than your own body. Major kudos to OP for trusting her gut and pulling the ripcord before things escalated even further. Also, props for lining up friends, medical care, and that Fair Work claim. Talk about resilience. Fingers crossed the hospital visit brings some relief and the unemployment payout comes through, because she's earned a break. Anyway, that's enough emotional whiplash for one post. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I'm 19 female, my boyfriend is 22 male, and my brother is 26 male. I live with my brother to save money and we're really close. He's my best friend, my rock, and practically raised me. This Saturday we plan to see the new Superman movie. Superhero movies are our thing, and my boyfriend got upset. He said it's weird for adults to hang out with their siblings like that I should grow out of it, and I should depend on him instead. He says he never does this stuff with his sister. I didn't think this would be a big deal, but now I feel bad. I just need clarity. Transcript of text messages between OP and her boyfriend is in black bubbles. OP is in blue bubbles BF. Look, I'm not trying to argue again. BF. I just wanted to say sorry for earlier. BF. I didn't mean to upset you. BF. Honestly, babe. OP, it's okay. I'm not upset. I just don't understand why it bothered you. So much OP, I just don't get it. BF. It's not about the movie, it's the fact that you're choosing to spend your weekend with your brother instead of me. OP. Baby, I'm not choosing anyone over anyone. OP. I told you I'd come see you after... We planned this 2 weeks ago, I barely even see him. OP. Be for real. Please, BF. LOL. BF. You live with him. How are you acting like he's never around? OP. Because he's always working or tired. OP. We don't hang out like this often, OP. He's my brother, but he's also my best friend. It means a lot to me. BF. That's the part I'll never understand. BF. I've never been like that with my sister, and most people I know aren't either, BF. Plus, you're an adult. OP. So? BF. It's weird. OP. It's not weird. OP. We've just always been close. That doesn't stop because I'm in a relationship. BF. Nah, but that's kind of the thing when you're in a relationship, that closeness is supposed to shift. You start depending on your BF more, not your brother. OP. So you want me to push my brother away? This makes no sense. OP. And I do depend on you. BF. I'm not saying push him away, but like, BF. Who hangs out with their siblings? I don't do that with my sister, OP. If you did that with your sis, I would understand, OP. If she depended on you, I would be okay with it. BF. It is weird you don't see why that's an issue to me. OP. It's just one film and I'm seeing you after and spending the rest of the weekend with you. If that's not enough, I can't help you. OP. I'm with you most weekends, so you're acting childish, Aaron. BF. That's insensitive. BF. LOL. BF. Hang out with your brother this weekend, then OPK end of transcript relevant comments commenter. 1. As adults, it's very normal to still hang out with your family. Just because he's not close with his sister doesn't mean everyone else in the world shouldn't be close with their siblings. Nor and the dude is weird. Don't let him isolate you from your family. OP. I won't let him do that. He has a lovely sister. It sucks they can't have a friendship like I do with my brother. Commenter 2. Super childish and jealous because you're with another male, even though it's literally your brother. A lot of insecurity. Definitely run because it's never going to get better, and it's going to come in between you and your brother. Just because he's never had a close relationship with his sister, he thinks a sibling relationship is weird? I guarantee you that if you had a sister and hung out with her instead, then he wouldn't be jealous. Also, never forget that most relationships don't last forever, and when your parents are gone, your siblings are going to be the ones you have left that relate most to you. Never choose a relationship over your siblings. Edit. I also wanted to add that if you stay with this guy, you're going to be dealing with a lot of insecurities issues in the future, and that only gets uglier as time goes on. He will be jealous of anyone you hang out with that's not him. And a lot of domestic abuse cases start like this. OP. I responded to someone else. My brother works a lot and he provides for me so I can study without stress. I think that bothers my BF commenter 3. Nor. It's totally normal to hang out with your sibling. The fact he's making it weird is what's weird. OP. Thank you. That's what I thought. He almost got me second-guessing myself. Commenter 4. It sounds like your boyfriend is jealous of your relationship with your brother. Like he thinks you're about to start sleeping with him or some shit? OP. That's gross. I really hope not. My brother works so hard to support me and my parents. He's my best friend and role model. I haven't spoken to my BF for almost a day. If this continues, I think I'm going to give him an ultimatum. I'm tired of being treated like the weird one. Commenter 5. Run away from that boy. That really is childish. I'm a little afraid for you, TBH. Has he gotten in the way of you spending time with anyone else? OP. No. He doesn't say anything about my girlfriends, even though he's very clingy. Here's an update that was made 2 days later. We saw each other earlier today. At first, he made me cry. He kept saying I needed to be more independent and that I was acting childish and being so mean to me. I ended it right there. I took everyone's advice and finally called him out for how he implied things about my relationship with my brother that made me really uncomfortable. I told him how wrong it was to make me feel like I had to choose between him and my family. Hours later, he texted me this. I told my brother everything. He was upset he had no clue this was happening and disappointed because he treated my ex like family. He's glad I ended it and said I deserved better. Also, my brother and I saw Superman. It was amazing. I loved it, and it actually helped lift my mood, haha. Anyways, thanks for everyone's insight and validating me. I appreciate everyone's wisdom because I was blinded by love. I'm so sad and hurting because he's my first boyfriend. This was the only issue I had with him, but this was for the best. My family comes first. Transcript of the text message OP's ex has sent to her. OP did not respond back. BF. Hey, I just wanted to say sorry again. I know I messed up and I hate how things ended between us. I'm sorry for making you cry. I effed up again, BF. I want to be clear about something because I don't want you to misunderstand me or think I was ever trying to sexualize or disrespect your relationship with your brother. That wasn't it at all. BF. It's hard for me to admit this. I was jealous. Very jealous. I've been comparing myself to him in my head, and it just made me feel so small. He's so successful, so masculine, and he's this provider who's always there for you. And honestly, I've never felt like I measured up to that BF. I wanted to be like him. The one you could lean on without question. But instead, I made you feel like you had to choose. And that was wrong. I tried to make you focus only on me, and I see now how controlling that was. I'm really sorry if I ever made you feel isolated or like you had to cut off your family to be with me. BF, it is wrong, and I should have never put you in that situation. Ever. BF. Part of it is also because I have a younger sister who barely respects me or wants to spend time with me. So seeing how close you are with your brother made me feel bitter and insecure. Like I'm not good enough for you or even my sister. I guess I was scared I'd never be good enough in general. BF. I'm not proud of how I acted, but I want you to know it wasn't about you, it was about me, my insecurities, and what I need to work on in myself. I hope you find someone who appreciates the amazing bond you have with your brother because it's clear to me now how important that is, BF. I know I won't be able to change right now because these thoughts of low self-esteem and worthlessness are constant. I'm sorry you saw the worst in me. In the meantime, I'm going to work on myself, and these negative thoughts, maybe get therapy. You're such a beautiful girl, redacted. Not just in how you look, but in how kind and gentle you are. You're the kindest person I've ever, met, and being with you made me realize how much I still need to grow. I let my own self-doubt get in the way of treating you the way you truly deserve. BF, I'm sorry once again and take care. End of transcript relevant comments commenter. 1. So happy you've ended it. I don't believe for 1 second he's actually had all of these revelations. He's just trying to win you back after trying to isolate you from a loved one. It wouldn't have stopped there. But realized that's not going to work on you. Onwards and upwards for you. Always run far from this type of partner. OP. I didn't respond and I don't think I will. He practically admitted he wouldn't change, and that's all I need to know. And thank you. Commenter 2. Nor. Feels like he's trying to be manipulative in these messages, they just don't seem sincere. OP. When we were talking in IRL, he was not like this at all. Just kept belittling me, so yeah. Commenter 3. Strange POV on his siblings. Onward and upwards, I do like that he came clean about his securities. Not OP's job to make him feel comfortable. OP, I'm glad he did. I hope he gets the help he needs. Commenter 4. This is full-on baiting. No one comes to this much soul-searching and self-reflection in only a few hours. He put the worm on the hook and is trying to reel you back in with what he thinks you want to hear. OP. Yeah, exactly. I haven't responded. I don't think I ever will. My head hurts. Commenter 5. The fact that he knows the exact issues with his behavior and still did it is scary. Not convinced he had all these revelations in such a short time frame feels like manipulation to change your mind. OP. That's what irks me the most. Man, that one really spiraled, huh? It's wild how jealousy can twist someone's view until even a wholesome sibling movie night seems threatening. I'm glad OP held firm because losing family ties for a shaky romance is a brutal trade-off. And that text from the ex? Yeah, feels like a scripted apology. Lots of self-awareness, but no actual change on the horizon. OP's brother sounds like an absolute champ, though. Catching Superman together must have felt like a breath of fresh air. Anyway, holding boundaries early saves a ton of heartache down the line. Alright, here's the next post. I, 27 male, am very passionate about cooking. I'm not a professional chef by any means, but it's one of my favorite hobbies. I love the act of creating food, but sharing it is what's really special to me, whether it's something I've made or a nice meal at a restaurant. My girlfriend, 27 female, is pretty picky. She won't even touch a majority of the things I cook or split most meals at restaurants, and that's fine. It's the way she's been reacting to other people enjoying my food that bothers me. A good friend of mine, Jace, 34 male, is a truck driver. I don't get to see him as often as I would like, but when he comes home, I always make it a point to feed him well. It's fun for me to plan. It's also really fulfilling in a way. It makes me feel this sense of warmth, making something for him. I know that being on the road so much can be tough, so when he's here, I want him to feel grounded and at peace. Basically, I'm giving this man all the comfort food. Jace is always so appreciative and makes jokes about coming home to his wife. He should be back home in just a few days, and I mentioned to my fiancée that I had a whole menu planned. She got upset and basically told me that she didn't like how I went above and beyond for him. I've held my ground and said it's important to me, but her comments have started feeling a little less aimed at her own discomfort and more so just derogatory towards me. Am I the asshole for wanting to keep cooking for him? Am I the asshole has no consensus bot? OP received mixed reactions, relevant comments. Commenter 1. This sounds less about the food and more about the effort and thought you put into this friendship, perhaps making her question if you're prioritizing her a similar way. Is there something non-food related you put this much energy into doing for your GF? Planning dates, romantic evenings, things you know she likes? I know you enjoy making food for others, but have you taken the time to learn how your GF feels most loved and appreciated? And then, facilitated that for her? Do you have the same level of energy for helping your GF feel grounded and at peace when she's had a rough day at work or in general? OP, I appreciate this perspective. I hadn't thought about it this way. Because he's away from home and because he's so appreciative of what I do for him, I do put a lot of effort into it. I never looked at it as her needing the same from me after a long day of work, because it isn't equivalent to being away from home and creature comforts for weeks. Commenter 2. Why isn't it equivalent? In the end, you are going to marry your girlfriend and not Jace, right? As good of a friend it may make you gotta show your girlfriend the same, if not way more effort. You're acting like Jace didn't choose to be a truck driver. I'm pretty sure he knows what it all entails, so I get why your girlfriend feels insecure or neglected when you act like a longing housewife waiting for him to get home so you can spoil him while your girlfriend is just parallelly existing in all of this. OP. I've had tough days at work. I've never spent weeks away from home, where healthy food usually isn't an option. I can say the same on my fiancé's behalf. Choosing a hard job doesn't make it any less hard. I do things for my fiancé too, of course. I think putting in some extra effort for Jace on the times when he's back home is justifiable. Commenter 3. Are you attracted to Jace? If so, you need to tell her. I mean, a 7-year age difference is odd unless you and Jace were close growing up. Any background is appreciated for better context. As a forcibly retired chef, partly disabled, I can't figure on cooking intentionally for anyone who I don't have intimate feelings for. And there are 6 chefs in my family, so not a problem for gatherings. Keep us updated, OP. We met when I was 19. I moved for college and met him through some mutual friends there. I cook for lots of people I love in all different ways. Commenter 4. It's probably not so much the food. It sounds like your girlfriend feels threatened by your relationship with the truck driver. Commenter 5. To be honest, I kind of want to meet this truck driver after that write-up. OP. He is very offline, or I'd get him to virtually introduce himself. He listens to a lot of YouTube while he's driving, but that's the extent of his social media use. It's enviable and makes me cut down on my doom scrolling. Trying to explain memes to him is humbling. LOL. Does OP's girlfriend like his cooking? OP, she really likes mac and cheese, so I made it for her once. I followed a really popular recipe from TikTok that had gone viral. She told me she preferred Kraft. Commenter 6. I need more information. Are you buying all these ingredients for these meals? You said menu. That sounds pretty extensive. Like ballpark. How much are you spending on your friend? How much time, etc. goes into it? I feel like you're glossing over these important details so that it sounds like your girlfriend is just being petty and jealous. But if a significant portion of your time and income is going to your friend and she isn't getting the same, should ideally be getting more, then yeah, I can see why she's made this demand OP. I spend a not insignificant amount of time and money doing what I'm doing. But it makes me happy, and it's reciprocated, so it's not like I'm taking a loss. If someone wanted more of my time, they could communicate that, not try to take away something that makes me feel fulfilled. Jace isn't around 24/7, and I'm not making these meals daily. She doesn't go out of her way to spend time or connect with me when I'm not busy. It only becomes a priority for her when I'm doing those things with him. Here's an update that was made 6 days later on July 22nd, 2025. My girlfriend and I are currently on a break. I don't think I consciously realized it, but some part of me must have known how close we were to a breaking point. Otherwise, I don't think I would have written or posted my original question. I was making chicken breast for Jace on Friday. Whenever he gets back from a job, he'll go home and crash for a few hours. I like to time things so his meal is hot and ready when he wakes up. I had left the kitchen while it was cooking, and the oven was off when I came back. I asked my fiancée if she had done it, and she said yes. This resulted in easily the worst fight we've had. I ended up asking for the engagement ring back. This goes beyond me feeling unappreciated. This is her actively undermining something I'm passionate about. It feels like contempt. This is supposed to be a temporary break, but I really don't feel any sadness over not having seen or talked to her the past few days. I don't know where to go from here. A very big part of me just wants to be done. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Can I ask why it's temp and not permanent? Seems like your fiancé doesn't respect you. OP. That was me trying to be level-headed and not jump headfirst into a breakup. I thought a few days of distance might put things into a different perspective, but that hasn't happened. Commenter 2. I have questions. You say, you carefully plan his menu. Have you ever put in effort to find and craft meals and menus your ex-girlfriend would eat? You really brushed quickly over her pickiness and didn't talk about in what ways or why you won't and can't ever accommodate her, and that feels like you are intentionally leaving that out. Are you aware that you talk about Jace the way someone talks about someone they love, anticipating them coming home, admiring the way they love their life, excited to see them receive what you made them? Like, your tone and feelings expressed are not those of typical friendship. And if it's glaring to us, imagine what goes on your face and in your body language. OP, downvoted. I touched on this in a comment on the original post, but I've cooked her food and have been rebuffed in the past. The situation that I mentioned in another comment, and the one that always felt particularly rude was when I made her homemade mac and cheese, and she said she preferred Kraft. Of course I love him. I know a lot of people here are speculating about that being more than friendly. I only really want to address that here once and be done with it. I'd just like to say I would never be unfaithful. I'm not concerned with what constitutes a typical friendship. Taking care of a friend isn't cheating. I didn't expect that to be overanalyzed. Commenter 3. I knew from the OG this would go the way of the art room. Though this is more rugged, his friend is a truck driver. The dude jokingly refers to him as his wife too. OP. I had to take some time to read through this original post since it keeps getting referenced. I'm curious how you think this went the way of the art room. My girlfriend and I are taking a break because she hurt me. I have a good friend. There aren't even any similarities between my situation and what everyone keeps linking. I didn't leave her for another person. I was not cruel to her. I feel like my situation is being misrepresented for a cheap joke. Edit. I'm being mass downvoted for saying I don't appreciate jokes insinuating I would cheat in my relationships. I have no interest engaging here further. Like, you start out thinking it's just about mac and cheese, and then suddenly we're knee-deep in relationship landmines and cold ovens. Honestly, I get the whole food is love vibe. But man, the emotional calories here are off the charts. It's wild how something as comfy as comfort food can highlight mismatched priorities, or maybe hidden insecurities, faster than a Michelin chef plates a dessert. And hey, shout out to Jace for unintentionally lighting that fuse just by being hungry and appreciative. Still, turning off someone's oven? That's some next level sabotage. Can't sprinkle paprika on that and call it spicy. Anyway, sounds like OP's got bigger fish or chicken breasts to fry before figuring out who really deserves that extra special menu. Alright, here's the next post. I've been sitting on this for a few days, trying to decide if I'm just being dramatic or if I've been letting too much slide for too long. So, I, 30 female, have been happily married for a few years now. My husband, 31 male, is honestly a gem, kind, patient, hilarious, loyal, basically everything you'd want. Which, after having an ex cheat on me with his best friend, is kind of a big deal. That relationship wrecked me for a while, but I worked hard not to drag the wreckage into something new. And my husband? And thankfully, my husband's never given me a single reason to question him. Until now, maybe? I do not know. My husband and I have a great relationship, and we're pretty social and often hang out with each other's friends. I get along with almost all of his group, and they've honestly made me feel welcome, except for her, his childhood best friend. Let's call her Claire. Claire has always been cold to me. Not outright rude, just subtle enough to make me feel crazy for noticing. You know that kind of vibe? Every time we've been in the same room, she's managed to talk around me. Not to me. I tried. I really did. I've smiled, made conversation, been nothing but warm, even when she's given me nothing to work with. She doesn't show up to group hangouts, but she'll invite him over, and he always tells me, to his credit. He never goes without mentioning it, and he's never weird or secretive about her. But it still rubs me the wrong way. I've tried being friendly. I've tried small talk. Hell. I invited her to our birthdays, barbecues, engagement dinner. She bailed on all. She skipped our wedding too. And she only ever seems to reach out to him, usually when she's just been dumped and needs to talk. When I've brought it up, my husband says I'm overthinking it. That Claire is just a little odd socially. Maybe she is. Then, a few weeks ago, out of nowhere, she messaged me. She asked if I'd model for her project. Totally unexpected. And I was caught off guard, enough to say yes. Part of me thought, maybe this is her trying to connect. Maybe this was her olive branch. I even felt a little hopeful. God, I was naive. So I agreed. My husband offered to come with me since he hadn't seen her in a while and thought it'd be fun to catch up after. When we got there, her family was also involved, and from the second I walked in, it was like stepping into some passive-aggressive twilight zone. Her mom and sister kept calling my husband our son-in-law. I laugh awkwardly. Think I must have misheard. It only got worse. During the shoot came more of the snarky comments. Jokes about the one that got away and some bonds never fade. Her mom at one point literally said, "We always thought Claire would end up with him, but life has its detours, I guess." Claire always imagined walking down the aisle with him. And then, it's sweet of her to fill in, though. Oh, come on, I wish I was exaggerating. And Claire just kept snapping pictures, smiling, saying nothing. No, hey, cut it out. No awkward laugh. No redirect. Nothing. My husband? Clearly uncomfortable. I watched him fidget through the whole thing, clear his throat a few times. He tried to change the subject or came nearby me during the shooting. He didn't say much either. Just went kind of quiet. I stuck it out for an hour. Let her take her photos. Smiled, posed, whatever. But the whole time I felt like I was part of a social experiment, and everyone else was in on the joke but me. When we got in the car, he was silent for a while. Then finally said, "Sorry about all. That was weird, right?" And honestly, I didn't even know what to say. Because, yeah, it was weird. It was borderline disrespectful. And the fact that he was there, saw all of it, clearly felt it too, and still didn't step in or pull the plug, it makes me feel kind of alone in this. I'm just tired. Tired of pretending this woman is harmless or just awkward. She knows exactly what she's doing. Two don't want to start a huge fight, but I'm at the point where I don't want her in our lives. Not as a friend. Not as a ghost in the corner of our marriage. No more bending over backwards to be the cool wife. I'm not interested in earning points with someone who clearly doesn't want me around. Anyway, thanks for letting me scream into the void for a minute. I really needed to get this out. Edit. Sorry guys, English is not my first or even second language. Sometimes it is harder to get my points, feelings across. Just to clarify a few things people were asking about. Claire is actually a photography major, and this shoot was part of her final project. I'm not a professional model or anything, but I've done some hobby modeling here and there, so when she asked if I'd help out, I thought it was a casual favor. Why at her house? She comes from a wealthy family and has a fully set up photo studio in their house, which is why the shoot happened there instead of at a regular studio. I honestly thought it'd just be her and the camera, not a full audience with drinks and commentary. Additional background. I grew up in a pretty emotionally abusive household, so I think I've gotten too used to passive-aggressive comments and just sort of freeze up. Maybe that's why I didn't react more in the moment. But yeah, it definitely hit harder after the fact. I will update you as soon as possible. Thank you for all your comments. Here are some of OP's comments. Commenter 1, borderline disrespectful. I'd hate to see what you think is actually disrespectful, OP. Wow, reading your comment and honestly so many others has really helped me see just how not okay that whole situation was. Think I was so used to brushing off this kind of behavior that I didn't even realize how deeply disrespected I was. I grew up in an emotionally abusive household where snide comments and passive aggression were just part of the background noise. So when someone pulls that kind of crap now, I think a part of me automatically minimizes it, like, oh, I've heard worse. But reading all your reactions kind of snapped me out of that. And yeah, it hurts that my husband didn't shut it down. I've been trying to rationalize it in my head like maybe he didn't want to escalate things because it felt like a trap, or that he is not used to being in these kind of situations. None of that excuses it, though. Not even a little. I'm going to talk to him tomorrow. Really talk. Not brush it off. Not laugh it away. Just lay it all out. Because at this point, I need to know where he stands. Thanks for the reality check. I needed it more than I realized. Commenter 2. Gotta be honest, the whole modeling session photography stuff sounds 100% unbelievable. That doesn't even make sense at all. Are you a model? Is she a photographer? Why a photo shoot in their home? Why all the family members there? That's not how photo shoots work, really. OP. Yeah, honestly, I get why it sounds off. I probably would have side-eyed the whole thing too if I wasn't living it in real time. So, no, I'm not a professional model. She just needed someone for a thesis project, and I've done a little hobby modeling here and there, so I figured it was casual enough to help out. I guess she didn't want to go through the trouble of hiring someone last min. As for the location, Claire comes from money. Like, money. They'd converted part of their house into a kind of makeshift studio for her to work in with lighting, backdrops, the whole deal, so that's where we did it, which I didn't think was too weird, until I got there, and her whole family was hanging around like it was dinner theater, drinking wine, making snide comments, just watching. It was honestly awkward as hell. I definitely wasn't expecting that. I thought it'd just be her and a camera, not a whole audience and running commentary. Here's an update that was made on April 23, 2025. A quick recap for those who missed the original. My husband's childhood best friend, Claire, has never liked me. She skipped all invitations, but invites my husband alone, avoids me in person, and still found little ways to insert herself into his life. The final straw? She asked me to model for her final photography project. I showed up thinking it was maybe a fresh start. Nope. Instead, I got publicly mocked by her family, who joked out loud that she should have been the one marrying my husband. First off, holy crap. I did not expect that post to blow up like it did. Thank you to everyone who commented, messaged, or just made me feel like I wasn't losing my mind. So many of you asked for an update. And here it is. For those wondering, no, they never dated. He had a high school crush on her over a decade ago. That's ancient history. No, I don't think he's ever cheated, emotionally or physically. He's always very open and honest. We have each other's passwords. They barely see each other anymore in person, maybe once every few months. We live about 2 HRs away. Okay, so here's the update. Funny enough, I didn't even get the chance to sit down and talk to my husband before something else happened. I just can't believe my life at the moment. Anyway, I was still trying to process what happened and sort through my anger towards Claire, and honestly, toward my husband too. That's when I got a message from my sister-in-law. We'll call her Madeline. I'm really close with Madeline. She's also part of the wider social circle that Claire floats around in. They're friendly, but not close. She sent me a screen recording from Claire's close friend story with a simple WTF. It was a clip of me posing during the shoot. No music. But in the background, you can clearly hear Claire's sister say, Claire should have been the one to marry him. I lost it. I waited until my husband got home from work, sat him down, and showed him the video. He watched it once, then again. His whole face changed. He finally looked pissed. I could not help but think, why didn't he have the same reaction there? So I laid it all out. I told him everything. Every snide comment, every time Claire made me feel small. How I'd always tried to be civil. How I never asked him to choose between us. But I was done being polite while someone consistently disrespected me. I told him, if this doesn't bother you enough to act, we've got a bigger problem. I'm not going to be in a marriage where I have to beg to be defended. I need a partner who stands up for me. And if that's not you, then I need to rethink this. He didn't argue, didn't get defensive, and I know he feels sorry. Then I showed him the Reddit post. He tried to read every comment. Some of them made him tear up. When he finished, he looked at me and said that he feels like the worst husband. He let this happen right in front of him. He is so sorry. And asked me, what do you need from me now? I told him straight up, this isn't just about her anymore. It's about whether or not you're willing to protect this marriage. But I'm not going to feel like I'm second place in my own relationship, so it's either me or her. So we called Claire. She picked up all cheerful, acting like nothing had happened. We brought up the video. She immediately got defensive. Oh, come on, it was just a joke. Are you really mad over that? Seriously? And that's when he stepped in. This isn't just about the video. It's the constant disrespect toward my wife. I didn't say anything before because I didn't want to lose your friendship, and I convinced myself you didn't mean it. But what happened at that shoot? That was disgusting. My wife came to support you, and you and your family treated her like a joke. I didn't speak up then, and I'm ashamed of that. But that ends now. I don't even know why I held on to this friendship for so long. If you can't respect my wife, you don't respect me. She laughed, literally laughed. Wow, you're really cutting me off over that girl? OMG, I was ready to fight. But husband calmed me down, said to Claire, if choosing between you and my wife ever felt like a hard decision, I wouldn't deserve her. We're not kids anymore, you need to grow up. I simply do not want to be your friend anymore. I have nothing else to say. Telling you he can be a gem sometimes. But yeah, we blocked her and her entire family. Since then, he's been checking in with me. Not trying to fix things, just showing up. Listening. Understanding. He finally sees what I've been dealing with. We've still got some healing to do, but now I know where he stands. And that changes everything for me, to everyone who commented last time. Thank you. Seriously. You helped me feel like I wasn't crazy, and maybe even more importantly, you helped him finally see it too. Here's a final update that was made on July 24, 2025. Hi again. I wasn't going to post a third time, but a bunch of people kept asking for an update, so I figured I'd just close this out. Also, oh my god, I honestly didn't expect my original post to get that much attention. I wrote it when I was angry and exhausted and needed to vent. I thought maybe like 5 people would see it and I'd feel slightly less crazy. Instead, it kind of exploded. My husband actually read the second post too. Yeah, after seeing it all written out and reading the comments, which surprised him that people were still curious. But maybe that was a good thing. Anyway, the update itself isn't dramatic. After that last call, we blocked Claire and her whole family. And that was it. No follow-up, no weird texts, no fake apology, nothing. Just silence. And honestly, that silence was kind of the best thing she ever gave me. My husband's been great. Not doing too much or trying to overcompensate, just steady. He finally sees how much I was putting up with. He's been more protective in a real way, not just in words. He owns how passive he was before. It doesn't feel like we've been trying to move on. It just feels like we're on the same page now. I think the biggest shift is internal. I'm not second-guessing myself as much. I'm not trying to win people over who've already decided not to see me. I feel a lot more grounded, and it's because I finally spoke up instead of brushing things off. So yeah, not much drama, but a lot of clarity. Thanks to everyone who commented or messaged or just listened. I'm probably going to delete this account soon, but this thread honestly helped more than I can explain. For anyone else dealing with subtle disrespect that makes you question your own gut, you're not imagining it. You're not being dramatic. You don't have to keep being the bigger person just to stay nice. I'm still cringing at the idea of a whole studio full of wine-sipping spectators treating OP like a stand-in bride. The silver lining, though, is that her husband finally recognized where his loyalty belongs and slammed that door shut. Sometimes it really does take a public call-out to shake folks awake, huh? I love that OP isn't chasing approval anymore. Huge character glow-up. Claire and her entourage can keep their twisted little detour fantasy. OP's got peace on speed dial. Okay, let's move on to the next one. My husband has worked with Kelsey for the last 2 years, and I never thought anything about their relationship was strange until now. For the past 5 months, the amount of time that has lapsed since my husband found out that Kelsey was pregnant, he has gone out of his way to support her in a way that makes me uncomfortable. I might be able to understand his actions if they weren't so extreme, but they mostly strike me as downright strange and out of character for him. For one, when he found out she was pregnant, he came to me and asked if he could give her $1,000 to help her with some of her expenses. He said that Kelsey's baby's father was out of the picture and she was struggling. I don't know Kelsey personally, but I can sympathize with her situation. I agreed to let him write her a check for $250. I did think this was odd, though, because my husband has never been all that charitable. I've never known him to be the type of person that goes out of his way to help a coworker or a stranger, but whatever. A few weeks later, my husband came to me and again asked me if we could help Kelsey out. This time, he wanted to buy a pram for Kelsey. The one he had picked out was quite expensive, so I wasn't comfortable with just giving him the okay. We spent about a week discussing it before we finally agreed to purchase a cheaper one for her. This came after he asked her if the second one would be okay. I took this opportunity to ask him how much more money he wanted to spend on Kelsey and her baby. We had already spent $500 on them at this point, and I was starting to get concerned. We had a fight about this where he accused me of being selfish. He said that he was trying to do a good deed for someone, and that he thought I would be happy to support a young mother-to-be like Kelsey and her baby. I did feel a little guilty afterwards, so I backed off. Fast forward to last week. I found out after the fact that my husband had bought a $150 gift card to Babies R Us for Kelsey as a Christmas present. We had another fight about how much money he's spending on her and her baby, and again he accused me of being stingy. I asked him how much more he planned to spend, and he told me that he didn't know. I asked him if he could see how this situation could make me uncomfortable, and how it might lead me to think something was going on between them. He said that he was disappointed that I would think his good deed was anything other than him trying to help a coworker. He has been giving me the silent treatment since that fight and making passive-aggressive comments, which is frustrating. I can't get him to understand that my concerns are legitimate. Besides, it's not like we have the ability to keep spending this kind of money on Kelsey. In addition to spending money, my husband also has spent a lot of time helping Kelsey in other ways. He spent time fixing up things around her apartment before the baby comes and doing other odd jobs for her. All of this makes me extremely uncomfortable, but anytime I bring it up, he accuses me of trying to stop him from helping someone in need of assistance or being greedy. He won't acknowledge what I think is very worrisome behavior. At this point, I wonder what I'm supposed to do. I think he really is trying to do a good deed, but part of me worries that something else is happening. I don't want to believe he would cheat on me. He's never given me a reason to suspect this. But I can't help but wonder sometimes, especially when he's gone with Kelsey to her OB/GYN appointment on 2 occasions, though he claimed it was because she needed a ride. Does he have a point? Am I being selfish for hassling him over helping Kelsey? How should I try to get him to understand his behavior is making me uncomfortable? I'm not sure how I should handle this situation. Nothing seems to be working. Too long didn't read. Husband has spent a lot of time and money helping his pregnant coworker. This makes me uncomfortable. But he says I am being greedy for trying to discourage him from doing a good deed. Am I worrying over nothing? Or are my concerns justified? Relevant comments commenter. One sounds like she's pregnant with his child TBH. OP. It does seem like that could be true. The only thing is, he's never given me reason to suspect him of cheating. No late nights at work, no business trips, no other odd behavior. Commenter. I don't know how you haven't asked him if he's the father at this point. This is just really weird behavior. It'd be one thing if you guys had kids of your own and were done with babies, so he was just offering up anything you had in good condition that you would have otherwise donated, but he's taking a very, very active role in her pregnancy. And I don't know how you find out why, because he doesn't want to tell you. OP. I asked him if anything was going on between them, but he basically denied it. I didn't ask him if he was the father because I think I'm scared that he might say yes. Here's an update that was made on January 8th, 2016. Since many of you asked for an update, and you were kind enough to offer advice, I have decided to give one. The first thing I did after making my initial post was to confront my husband directly again. I asked him point blank if he was so involved with Kelsey's pregnancy because he was the father of her child. He denied it. I then asked him to introduce me to Kelsey, since he had given her money that belonged to both of us. When I mentioned this, he got very defensive and accused me of being insecure. I responded by saying that I at least had a right to know the person I was helping, and that he shouldn't have a problem with me meeting Kelsey if nothing was going on between them. He then told me that he wasn't going to introduce us and that I needed to work on my jealousy issues. I decided to contact Kelsey the next day. I found her, or at least the woman I thought was her, through a mutual friend's Facebook page. I sent her a message telling her who I was. I explained to her why I was concerned about her relationship with my husband and requested that she please let me know if she was having my husband's baby. She sent me a very nasty message back. I will spare you many of the details. The basic gist was that I was old and unattractive and unable to satisfy my husband, so he found someone better, i.e., Kelsey. Among other things, she claimed that the baby was my husband's and that he was planning to leave me, but felt sorry for me and couldn't bring himself to do it. She ended the message by telling me that I should let him go so they could be together. It hurt a lot to read that message. It still hurts me to think about it. I confronted my husband that same night. I showed him the message. He got really quiet and admitted that she was telling the truth, but denied telling her all of the horrible things she said about me. He said it. Getting her pregnant was a mistake, and he was only trying to do the right thing by her and the baby. He denied that they were still sleeping together and said he wanted to stay with me and have a baby with me. I have no idea if either of these things are true. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Everything has happened so fast. A couple of days have passed now, and I'm still thinking things over. He wants us to go to counseling to try to work through this, but I don't think I'm interested in working on our marriage. It would be hard for me to get past this if he had cheated. But the fact that he may be having a child with this woman makes it harder. If I stay with him, she's always going to be in our lives. I have thought about waiting until we can do a paternity test to make a final decision, but I don't know if I want to do that either. It may be easier if I just make the change now. I have started looking for divorce attorneys. Most of my family and friends have told me I need to get out of this marriage, and each day I get closer to making that move. I just need a bit more time before I'm ready to make a decision. Too long didn't read. It's my husband's baby. He wants me back and to work on our marriage, but most likely we'll be getting divorced. Honestly, at first it felt like maybe hubby was just being super charitable, but those endless gifts and OBGYN rides were throwing up red flags like crazy. And yikes, that Facebook message from Kelsey. Talk about salt in the wound. It's heartbreaking how one betrayal turns an entire life upside down in a snap, especially when a baby's in the mix. Counseling might sound noble, but you can't glue trust back together if the pieces keep crumbling. Friends telling her to bail? Yeah, that chorus is loud for a reason. Anyway, I'm wishing OP healing, clarity, and a future free of drama. Okay, let's move on to the next post. Anyway, that's enough Minecraft and Reddit for today. If you liked this video, make sure to like and watch this next one.